The Porsche 964, everything about these cars is the pinnacle of perfection for analog enthusiasts, and we wouldn't change a thing. These are simpler times, but simpler times also came with simple headlights, and that's one thing we Porsche fans don't necessarily admire, especially when the original headlights were designed around ancient headlight technology from the 60s, and it's dark outside. At Morimoto, we get it, and that's why our new bi-LED headlights for your 911 are about as future-proof as the car itself. Inside, the XB-LED headlights for the 911 come standard with a single high-output bi-LED projector, just like the brand new OEM headlights found on the late model 991 and 992 generation cars. These things are going to perform even better than they look, with a wider, significantly brighter low beam and a high beam that will penetrate far into the distance with ease. To top it all off, these optics meet and exceed all SAE and DOT standards when aimed properly, which is pretty easy to do with their integrated aiming adjusters. Now, the lenses on these are made out of a durable polycarbonate material which has been UV treated and will truly resist the test of time, keeping these housings looking new for many years to come. These new headlights are a direct bolt-on fitment for all Porsche 911s from 1965 through 1994, including the 911, the 912, and all 964 generations. Our XB-LED headlights are the perfect solution to modernize the front end of your classic 911 without compromising the delicate styling of the car. The geometry and much of the fluted texture on the front lenses have been preserved. The optical light pipe that wraps around the outer perimeter of the housing has 4 pronounced hotspots in each corner of the light, which also is reminiscent of what Porsche did on the 991 generation of the cars. And though we recognize that that's the verge of too modern, trust us, it looks just right on this thing. Now, these lights are available in 2 different versions, one with the classic warm white DRL and projector, and the other one with a modern pure white DRL and projector. That classic white model looks especially natural on the car with the warm white LEDs and could truly pass for original equipment, while the modern white version offers a more updated appearance. In either case, we've color matched the daytime running light optics and the main low and high beam LED projector so that everything is on point. All wiring and connections are OE grade, and the optics are designed to maximize visibility on par with any modern Porsche. All right, so to get started, we're just going to remove one Phillips head screw which holds the front trim cover in place. To remove the trim cover, simply pull it up and off of the car. Now we can remove the headlight assembly itself. For this, you've got 4 Phillips head screws in total, 2 on each side. Now you can pull out the headlight and then start working on removing the wiring harness. Now with this car, it's got the 9004 headlights, and to remove the connector, you just simply pry up on the tab and pull it away. It's also common to see an H4 3-prong connector, which you can just pull apart. There's no prong on that one to pry up. Next, we're going to go ahead and pop the rubber grommet out from the back of the headlight bucket so that we can pass some wiring through it. You can work your way around the outside perimeter just to loosen it up. Next up, we're going to locate the underhood fuse box close to the firewall on the passenger side of the car. We're going to locate fuse number 28, which is what we're showing you here, and remove it. In place, we're going to plug in the DRL fuse tap harness that's included with the headlights. Now, this is the wire harness that runs the LED daytime running lights on the headlights, so you do need to install it if you want that feature to work. Integrated in line with the wire harness are several gaskets that'll help you run this harness from the fuse box to your headlights cleanly and without leaving any air gaps. It also has an inline butt connector that you can disconnect to help make the installation a little bit easier when passing the wiring through the holes in the fender. On the end of the harness is an amp connector. This is going to be the connector that you plug into the back of the headlights. There's one for each light. Go ahead and push the fuse tap into fuse position number 28 and proceed to run the wiring through your fenders and pass it out into the headlight buckets. Note that the harness does have 2 different output lengths, a longer one and a shorter one. Lay out the harness so that the longer one is routed towards the driver's side of the car and the shorter one goes to the passenger side of the car, closer to the fuse box. You're going to pass the DRL harness through the hole in the front and out the hole into the headlight bucket. So I'm also going to point out that in the harness there's 2 differently sized gaskets. Now this is because during the development of these headlights we found that depending on the exact model year or body style of your Porsche 911, you may have a different sized hole here. Use the one that's most appropriate for your car. Repeat the same process on the driver's side of your car. And now we can go on to the wiring for the actual headlight itself. Now here we're showing the installation of the H4 to 9004 adapter, which some cars will need. This is very easy to install. It's just plug and play and simply converts the output from your car to the necessary input on the back of the headlights. We also include a set of zip ties so that you can add extra security to those 9004 connections. In some cases, again, we have found that this connection is not totally secure depending on the exact model or the age of your connector. This is just extra security. From there, you can connect the DRL harness end to the DRL harness input on the back of the headlight. Now plug the headlight in, push it back into the bucket, and make sure the holes are lined up. From here, we can proceed to secure the headlight into that bucket. Now when it comes to hardware, these headlights do include new screws, but if your old ones are still in good shape, there's nothing wrong with that, and you can certainly reuse them. Before we reinstall the trim rings, we are going to want to actually test out the lights, making sure that everything is working, but also we're going to want to work on the aim. Out of the box, these are set to a default aim so that they can roughly match the output of the stock headlights. On the back of each headlight, there's a vertical and horizontal adjuster screw. To do this, you're only going to want to focus on that vertical adjuster screw. The problem is that it's not accessible when the headlight is mounted. First, I'd recommend turning on both of the headlights with the vehicle about 25 feet from a garage or flat wall. Check the output of the beam pattern and make sure that the height meets your original headlight aim. If the height is off, you can then remove the headlight, tweak the adjuster screw so that you can fine-tune it, and then reinstall. This will take a little bit of guessing and checking, but shouldn't take more than just a few minutes to get it just right. Once you're satisfied with the aim of the headlights, you can then lock everything down and reinstall the trim ring. You'll note that on the trim ring there's several different alignment locators on the back which line up with points around the perimeter of the headlight. Just make sure those are snapped in. It's also worth noting that these are left and right specific. On the back of each part there is an L or an R to indicate that. Just pay close attention when you're picking them up. Install the one screw on the bottom. From there, you're all set. Now we know that these things are not inexpensive, but the price is justified, and as the saying goes, you pay for what you get, guys. These headlights are built to exceed all expectations and should easily last the life of your classic 911. Check them out at morimotolighting.com.